My name's Jacob Vernick. I'm a sales engineer here at NewBlue, and welcome to Discover Captivate, a brand new webinar series from NewBlue. All right, folks. Our timer has reached its conclusion. It's time for us to get started. Well, thank you so much to everyone for hopping on here today. It is great to have you on here with us. My name is Jacob Vernick. I'm a sales engineer here at NewBlue, and thank you so much for joining our fourth edition of Discover Captivate. So I'm going to be leading you through a journey through Captivate today, right? So if you are unfamiliar, Captivate is NewBlue's live graphics and production powerhouse. Just to give you a quick overview, it is designed for producers who want flexibility without having to sacrifice design, right? So whether you're a solo producer, part of a studio team, or maybe just diving into live production for the first time, our software is quick, easy to use, allowing you to create custom looks, update graphics with new data quickly and from any data source, and just be a simple product that lets you get up and rolling with graphics as fast as you can. So without further ado, we're going to dive into a demo today. Please feel free to follow along if you have a trial or if you have a license with us. Trials are available on our website. We can also throw a link in the chat if you want to download. It'll have a watermark, but it'll be fully featured, meaning anything you see me do today, you can do in your trial as well. So just so you're aware, I will be using Captivate Broadcast today. That is our top SKU. That's our, the version that has everything in it. I'll highlight a couple of things that Captivate Sport and Present offer as well as we go. So I'm just going to share my screen and we'll talk through a couple of use cases to start within Captivate. So you guys are all seeing my screen. Captivate right here. This is a couple of different use cases, right? So maybe you're going to be using Captivate for a webinar. And that first, screen share that when you were joining, you may have already seen. We had our title screen with today's date and a countdown timer, right? Maybe you want to come over here, cut to your single, right? I'm not Ian, but I can use all the data in Captivate to be able to update all of this information on the fly as well. Maybe I want to do pictures in pictures, right? Bring in live video sources, either SDI, NDI, USB, even directly from Zoom, directly from Teams, to be able to show, build out a more interesting, a more complex kind of webinar. We can also build out, picture in picture. So if I wanted to share my screen while I'm sharing my camera, show both at the same time, I've got some abilities to do all of this in Captivate. But maybe I'm doing something that a ton of our users do, and that's live sports, right? So I'm showing off our Flux graphics package here. This is a sports package. That's my favorite add-on package. Gives you great titles like this title, matchup title, right? And all of these images, all of these fonts, all of these colors, everything I'm showing you today, fully customizable and can be changed to match your brand. I can come over here and do things like the score, right? And have a bug. We also have a scoreboard tool in here. So if I wanted to be able to drive the score using the Captivate scoreboard tool, I've got a full scoreboard tool to be able to update the score on the fly as we go. We can pull up great stat graphics, right? So if you have, the data coming in, I've talked to people who are pulling this from a Google sheet, right? Or a sportscast. There's so many different ways you can bring in live stat data and then showcase and give your viewers more context, more information as to what's going on in your stream, right? And then obviously things like schedule graphics, lineup graphics, head-to-head graphics, all of those available in our library. Now, something we're super excited about, based on a ton of feedback, both from this webinar and from going to shows like NAB, IBC, all the shows we've been going to, we just released our Veritas news package. So this is just a little sequence of videos that we strung together, just showing you a couple of these graphics, right? Social graphics. We've got great things like lower thirds. We have full screens, pictures in pictures, so that you can build out live bugs, weather bugs, time, right? All of the pieces that you would expect to see crawls in a news broadcast, right? I built a couple of them into here, right? So these ones are live right now. different things like, pulling data live and then maybe cutting over here to a two box where I'm now in this box and I'm talking to that anchor who's over there in that screen, right? Full screen list. That was one we didn't show in that first, but again, the fonts, the image in the background, the colors, everything can be customized to make sure that it matches your brand and you're delivering the exact thing that your audience is expecting to see. So I think that's a good way of just kind of showing you what you can build towards. And again, everything that I just showed you, you can drag and drop into your project and have up and running in about 5 minutes. But I'm going to start in a blank project now because when you get into Captivate, that's what you'll be seeing too. So let's hop on and take a look together. So I'm just going to go to a new project, save this guy up, and we're going to start in a blank project together. So now I'm in a blank project. When I click on this setup window right here, that's going to give me just our general, you could say recommended, but it's just going to show all of the different panels. And you can see up here at the top, these are all the panels I have. If I want to turn one off, I can either click on it right here. That'll get rid of that shot launcher right there. Or I could always just come over to the shot launcher and say, hey, I'm not using that right now. Click on the X. I'm going to get rid of our video switcher and our audio mixer for now, just because that's the way I'm going to be focusing on the graphics to begin. But let's talk through what we are looking at. So first thing I want to highlight, Captivate is Mac and Windows friendly. So I'm running this on my MacBook Pro M3 right now. A fine system to run it on. You can always get a beefier CPU. We'd always recommend 32 gigs of RAM. We do sell hardware as well, but basically any machine that you guys are looking to run this on, it should be pretty safe. And we're always happy to recommend machines, or if you want to get our blessing on a specific machine to run it on, we can always set that up as well. Windows we're looking at right now. Over here on the left-hand side, this is our project panel. This is where all of our graphics that we're using for an individual project are going to live. Preview window right here, obviously where you can preview some graphics, maybe make some changes to their size and their kind of their framing. Program over here, this is what's going out live right now. Key drop down is to click right here. So this is how you're going to be sending your feed out. And for instance, if I had a Ultra Studio, a Blackmagic AJA card hooked up to here, I could also send out SDI as key and fill. But as you can see right there, NDI, HDMI. So if you wanted to chroma key into an ATEM, you can do that. We have integrations into OBS, although some people prefer to just send NDI directly into OBS. But right here is where you can select how you will be sending it out. Properties panel down here at the bottom is where all of our data can be updated. We'll get into that a little bit more later. One thing I always want to highlight is up here at this program out button, up over here at this settings button. If you come down to project, this is where you're going to update what your frame rate and resolution is. So as I mentioned, right, I'm on Captivate Broadcast. What does that mean? Well, that means I can go up to 4K 30 if I want to send that out. Captivate Sport, Captivate Present, those are going to be throttled at 1080. But all the way up to 1080 60, both interlaced and progressive, we can do, whatever your project needs. So Captivate Sport and Present are only have the ability to send one channel of graphics out. We do sell add-ons, so if you wanted to buy an additional channel, you can always do that and add that onto Sport or Present. But additional channels are just going to give you more flexibility about what you're sending into your switcher, right? So I talk to a lot of customers who want to send channel one, specifically for sports. Channel one is just the score bug, so that they can always very easily know, hey, score bug on, score bug off. And then channel two is just everything else. So maybe like a station bug, stat graphics, schedule graphics, everything I showed you in those earlier segments. So that's how you can add another channel. As you can see, you get two distinct outputs in your program monitor, so you can see exactly what is going out there. So now we want to start building a project, right? We want to start adding graphics to our project. I'm going to show you a couple ways we can do that. Number one, right down here, I can go to add new item, and let me zoom in a little bit on this so we can see it a little bit better. I can come over here to a title or graphic. This is just going to give you a very basic two-text graphic that you can now take and customize exactly what you want in our title designer. Talk a little bit more about that when we get into our title designer. Right here, we have an After Effects composition, another feature that's only available in Captivate Broadcast, but a super powerful one. It allows you to import AEP files and MOGRT files directly into Captivate so that you can render them out live. Meaning, I built a lower third in I built a lower third in After Effects. I want to import that file directly into Captivate, and now I want to tie that to a CSV. So rather than rendering out 100 different lower thirds that are all their own individual MOV file, I make one AEP file, tie it to a spreadsheet that has 100 rows, and now I have 100 different iterations of that AEP file or MOGRT file in Captivate. So super powerful. Shot layouts we'll hit on a little bit later. Basically, a shot is just the ability to combine multiple graphics into a single click. A great example would be that two box, right? That two box I showed you earlier for news had it had the two box, it had a background, it had a live bug in the top left corner, and then it had the station bug in the bottom right hand corner. Rather than needing to queue each graphic individually, putting them into a shot allows me to queue them all at once. You can kind of think about them as scenes in OBS or something along the MEs in a general switcher. You can build out a media sequence, right? So if you're not just using us for graphics, say, you want to do a commercial break during a halftime show or something like that, you can load up some MP4s, some MOVs, and create a looping sequence or a sequence that runs once and just play that out from program as well. We have a ton of pre-baked transitions in here as well as, custom more graphic-based stingers that you can use as wipes between your shots. You can bring in live audio and video, so I could bring my camera feeds in here, or I could bring in SDI, NDI, HDMI, USB feeds directly into Captivate and then key over them, right? So a couple different use cases for that. Maybe you wanted to bring in four NDI sources and then put them into a four box, right? And now you have a much cleaner looking four box in Captivate. Or maybe you want to just use us as your last point of entry, right? Maybe you want to send your program feed directly to us and just have us key on top of that. That's another option. We have some workflows down here. Shot control is a great one that allows you to just kind of go through different shots, or people controller is great for Zoom workflows. And then we just allow you to import general content. So maybe a JPEG PNG or MOV MP4 or WAV file MP3, something along those lines. However, I'd say none of those places are necessarily the easiest place to start. The easiest place to start is going to be our library. So as I mentioned earlier, right, you can click right here on any of these panels and that will open it up. So when I click right there on library, that is going to open it up. And as you can see right there, we've got our Veritas news collection right here. These are the news graphics we just released. Highly recommend them if you're doing any news productions. They are by far our best news graphics we've put out. Right here, I'm going to just go into one of our cubic folders and I'm going to grab a lower third just to talk about a couple of different options. And I did fail to mention, we will be doing a Q&A at the end. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, throw them in the Q&A section, whatever you prefer, and I will get to them all at the end. So I've got my lower third right in here, just drag and drop from the library, right? I saw the graphic I wanted, click, drag, drop into my project, and now it is there. Couple things I want to show. When I click right here on play, that's going to put the graphic into program. When I click it again, it's going to take it off. I could always define a pre-baked duration. So if I want it to be 5 seconds, I can click on play, and now I don't need to click on play again. This graphic will just automatically go off after 5 seconds. I can also map this directly to a hotkey. So I could say every time I press the key P, it's automatically going to play that graphic. It would also play it off if, or I can define a specific duration. If I want to do it the way that I showed you earlier, where it stays on until I tell it to turn off, just make the duration 0, and now it's got an infinite duration, and it will stay at the pause point until you tell it to go off. All right, I'm going to play this graphic back on. Let's start talking a little bit about data. And when we say data and we're just talking about what are the elements that populate this graphic. So for example, in this graphic, the name is data, the subtitle is data, the image is data, and the color is data. These are all elements that in Captivate we refer to as variable. Variable just meaning they have the ability to be changed and updated. So if I wanted to change it, right now I'm in this properties panel, right? So you can always turn it on and off by clicking right there. And now I've got my properties panel. And I can come in here and I can say, actually, the lower third should be for me, Jacob Vernick. And you can see that's going to update live when I make that change because I'm in the live values grid right now. And you can also notice only the element that updated changed, right? It's not reanimating the entire graphic onto screen. It's smart enough to know, hey, only the name was updated. We're only going to reanimate the name on and off. Same thing with subtitle, right? I can come in here and put my title, and only that is going to update on and off. For images, super easy to use. You can just click right here on choose image. It'll take you right to where you want to be, whatever file type you're using, right? PNG, JPEG, GIF, BM. We support tons of different images. Some I haven't seen in years. But I could just click on my image, and now we've got my image in there. It's as simple as that. However, as I was mentioning earlier, there are use cases, and I'd say it's the norm, where you're going to have multiple names that need to be titled, right? You don't want just one. One option is the values grid. So I can come over here to the values grid, and now this allows me to build out, you can think of it almost as like an Excel sheet, right? But within Captivate. So now I have my name, my subtitle, my image, and I can add as many as I want right here. So if I want to add another one, I can add our head of sales, Ian Foster, put in a name, put in a title, grab his image from my library. And now, if I want to take his name live, I just double click right there and Ian goes live. And I double click right here and Jacob goes live. And it's as simple as that. You could always come in here and build out as many of those as you need. We also have the transform tab over here. Pretty self-explanatory. That's just going to expand or contract your graphic. However, I'd say neither of what I just showed you is necessarily the most frequent use case in Captivate for updating data. Some people use the values grid, some people use live values. I'd say most people come over here to add source and they add a data integration, right? So this is the real power of Captivate. This is the piece that keeps render time short and that allows you to not have to create 100 different graphics every time, there's a new person talking. So if I come over here to add source, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. I'm going to get a bunch of different options for what the data can be in this graphic. For a lower third, I'm probably going to come over to general and I'm going to use our spreadsheet, right? And that can be a CSV, an Excel file, whatever you want it to be. But as you can see, there are a bunch of options here, right? So for instance, if you are working with JSON files, you can bring in a JSON file. Same with RSS or XML. We also have our own weathercast. This is another feature only available in broadcast or available as an add-on for present and sport that gives you either current daily or hourly weather so that you can just type in a zip code and get the up-to-the-minute information on the weather for that graphic. Excuse me. I can come over here to gaming and get information on Streamlabs or Twitch, YouTube. In productivity, we have our chat controller. This can pull in from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Teams, Zoom, and then give you a moderation panel so you can choose what graphic and what tweet or what post is going live right now. Google, we can bring in Google Sheets and Google Slides. So again, if you're doing a webinar and you built everything in Google Slides, you even have a control panel so that you can click through the Google Slides as you go. Microsoft Excel, again, spreadsheets, tables. Sports is where the most data is probably coming in, right? This is where you can bring in directly from a hardware scoreboard, like a Daktronics or a Fairplay, OES, any of those, or the Tissot Varsity Whiteway. New Tech Data Link, Scorebird and ScoreBuddy, Sportscast, Stat Crew, XML. So there are so many different ways you can bring in your data. For worship, we have ProPresenter and Easy Worship integrations as well. And that is the power, again, of Captivate, being able to pull from sources to update your data live. So if I come over here, I'm going to come over back to general and go to spreadsheet and new input, and I'm going to zoom back out. And when you select a spreadsheet, it gives you two basic options, right? You can either select a file, meaning I have a file I already want to use. I want to just link that up, or you can generate a file. And the magic of generating a file is that it will automatically create it in a way that when you type the names into the different areas, it's automatically going to be linked up and know exactly where it should be located within your graphic. The image is going to go right to the image. I'm going to select a file for right now, our lower third graphics right here, and I'm going to expand this out, right? So you can see right here, this is my spreadsheet, right? If I wanted to open it up, I can click right there. That's going to fire open my spreadsheet in an Excel file right here. And this is what it looks like, right? Full name, title, headshot. If you want to use an image in Captivate, you're going to use the full file path to the image on the machine so we know where to go grab it from. And you can see right here, right? I have full name, title, and headshot as my column headers. And when I come back over here into Captivate, you'll notice the same thing. So in my preview window, when I come right here to link data, you'll see those same exact options, right? Full name, title, and headshot. So you're saying this column goes to this part of the graphic, this column goes to this part of the graphic. And the way you tell Captivate how to do it is you drag and drop. So your full name is going to go to full name, title is going to go to title, headshot is going to go to headshot. And now when I go between the different versions, Jacob, Ian, and Caleb, and same thing if this was live. I can send Caleb live, I can send Ian live, and I can send Jacob live. And now every time you add a new row to that spreadsheet, you save that file, Captivate is going to know, hey, I'm going to create a new lower third that looks exactly like you want it to. So that, again, those data integrations, that applies to all the different pieces, sports, social, etc. And that is the true power of Captivate, is just making data integration super simple and powerful in all of your graphics. We're going to talk a little bit about the design aspects now. So maybe you're not happy with the way this graphic looks. Maybe it's like 80, 90% of the way there. You think it's a great start, but there's some things you do differently. Maybe you don't like the font. Maybe you just don't like this little square in the bottom left-hand corner. Well, that's where our title designer comes into play. So I can come right down here and click on edit, and that's going to bring me into the title designer where now, as you can see right here, each individual layer is editable, right? I can, say, hey, you know what? I don't like this circle accent, delete it. You know what? I did like it, Command Z, bring it back. So I'll just highlight a few key things, right? So right here, I can always change the font over here. I can, again, select specifics about the font, bold, italicize, underline, things like leading and kerning. And then a powerful one right here, which is just fit box the text and fit text to box. Right now, I'm in fit text to box, and that means as I keep typing, the text is always going to get smaller and it's never going to exceed the length of the box. Fit box the text is going to do the opposite. It's going to expand the text will always keep getting bigger and it would go over there. However, the power of Fitbox the text is we can do things like resizing the graphic. So we can say, hey, this rectangle, as the text gets longer, I want this rectangle to get longer. And that's all done down here in the motion and data tab in the object following area where you can say, hey, I want to resize or move a specific graphic or a specific layer based on what another layer is doing. There is so much to the title designer, and there's more than I could ever cover in one conversation right here in one webinar. It will be something we do a deep dive into in one of our upcoming webinars within the next couple of months. But right here, I can do things like faces and shadows. I can go over to the motion and data tab where I can, get very specific about the size and the transforming, or set it up to be a crawl, a rolling credit, a loop, a data graph variable, meaning it's a bar graph basically, and I want it to be able to expand and contract depending on a percentage. A live video variable, meaning I want live video to go in this box. Right now, as you can see, it's a text variable, meaning I want it to be able, the text in this graphic to be able to be updated. Style breaks allow you to customize, basically, I want the first name to be all caps and the last name to be all lowercase. Style breaks are what let you do that. Uh, One last thing I want to really highlight here, though, are our transitions, right? Many of you might be used to manually keyframing everything on and off. Some of you may have only had the option to fade things on, fade things off, right? Well, if I come over here to view and I go to my library, that's going to open up my library right here. We're now, let me just make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Now I can come over here and go to transitions. I can click on transitions, animations, and now I have a whole library of animation effects that I can use on any of these graphics, right? So I can come down here maybe to the subtitle, right? And click on that. And then let's say I could do something like city lights. And if I hover over it, you'll get a preview of what it looks like. And I'm not sure how good a job Zoom does of showing this, but you can see it kind of flickering now, right? The sales engineer graphic is going to animate on a little bit differently. And if I wanted to apply that transition to my graphic, I just come right here, I drag, I drop, and voila, City Lights is now on this graphic. If I wanted to save that, I can click on the check. If I'm unhappy and I want to start from the place I left off, I can click right there on the X, and that will get me out of the title designer. There are a bunch of other things that you can do in Captivate. For instance, you can bring in live video sources and switch between them. We have basic instant replay functionality that allows you to take a highlight and get it to screen immediately. We have audio mixing. So if you want to use us as your full switching solution, those tools are there. If there are questions about how those all work, happy to answer those in the based on your questions in the chat. But I'm going to open it up for Q&A right now. Excuse me. No, I'm gonna hit on one more thing. I want to hit on our companion integration. So I don't know how many of you have Stream Decks at home. I've got a Stream Deck Mini right here that basically allow me to send graphics live, but also create custom workflows. That's my favorite thing about Companion. It's not necessarily the Stream Deck integration. It's the ability to create custom workflows. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a second just to get a couple of things set up on my end from a Companion perspective. But what I want to show you is just the ways that you can build out custom workflows using Companion. When I say that, I mean you're not limited to any motion with a button press, right? So I'm going to reshare my screen and we can talk a little bit through Companion now. Well, where did Companion go? There it is. So for a specific project, right, I'm going to come over here. I can build out a lot of different things. If you're unfamiliar, let me pull back a little bit here. This is free software. This is called Bitfocus Companion. This is available for download on the internet. We could always throw a chat in there. we could also throw some information in the chat if you guys are unfamiliar. But what it is you can think of it as like a systems integrator, and there are tons of different, Analog Way and Ari and Atems from Blackmagic, and vMix has one. Audinate, Dante has one, right? There are so many different companies that have this. And what it allows you to do is mix and match, right? So if you wanted to say, hey, switch to camera one on my A10 while also calling up this graphic in Captivate, Companion is the tool that lets you do that. Specifically with Captivate, you would just come over here, you would search Captivate, and then there we are. You would just click on add, and then you'd have our what's it called, connection directly in your project ready to go. You can use our auto discovery, or you can manually put in the IP and port, and that will tell Cap how and that will connect Companion directly to Captivate. Now, when I come over here to buttons, my favorite thing that we do is our presets. So you can come right here to presets, click on Captivate, and now you can see presets that are specific to the project that you have open. So you can come over here to layers, and this is my massive project that we're looking at right here, right? There's a ton that I already did. You can see how many different layers I have in my project, but you can start to map these to specific buttons, right? So I could come over here, and for this first button, right? Basically, this first button I kind of thought of as maybe I wanted to do an all-in-one thing, kind of like a clicker, right? We had somebody come to us recently who said, hey, I'm doing a bunch of weather graphics, and I want to have a clicker and just go through steps. Steps is a fantastic functionality of Companion. There's ways to do it kind of within Captivate as well, but steps allow you to say, hey, I want to take this layer, and I want to play it in. Next time I press that button, I want to play that layer in, and maybe I want to play another layer off. And when I press this button, maybe I want to play a transition, right? A stinger. And then I want to play this layer right here, right? So the way that works is I'll just click on the test button functionality over here so that you guys can see a little bit in the program window of Captivate right here. When I click on test, that's going to run that graphic live. So that's my first step. I click on test again. It's going to run my second step. And then I click on test again, and it's going to run my third step. And it can do, again, multiple things. So that third step, right on that third step, it ran a stinger, and then it ran a graphic. So if you want to use transitions between things, you can set up those custom workflows. Another great thing I love is the ability to see what is currently in that button right here. So these are our feedbacks that you can come over here, and you can see title to preview right here. And that'll show you what title is the preview. You can always get rid of this if you don't want to see what it looks like, but you can see exactly what you are sending live in your Stream Deck, right? So I even have the little previews in this LED right here. Again, you can map these to any of your projects. We have a ton of different types of things you can do, all available in your presets. And we just wanted to give a little bit of background knowledge as to kind of, one, this exists and as a very tactile way to be able to control your graphics. So if you're familiar with working maybe with like a specific expression keyboard, maybe everything you do is already Stream Deck based. This is an amazing way to be able to include your graphics in those workflows. We have a ton of other new features kind of coming, right? We're revamping the way that we do online spreadsheets and different sorts of going through rows and navigating to specific areas. We have some really exciting stuff coming down the pike with Captivate. So, excuse me, with Companion and Captivate. So stay tuned. We're going to be showcasing a lot of that very, very soon. I'm going to pop over to the Q&A now and take some looks at some questions, see if anything's come up. Let's see. We got one question. Stream Deck control. Oh, beat you to the punch. Didn't even know it was there. So yeah, Companion Stream Deck control. We do have a direct integration with Stream Deck as well if you don't want to use Companion. That is going to be it lets you play layers on, play layers off. It's not nearly as powerful as this, which has things like spreadsheet control and layer control, and being able to combine multiple steps into one. But we do have a direct Stream Deck integration. My preference is going to be Companion every day of the week. Anything else from anyone?
And any other future topics you guys want to hear about that we can plan in for you? Like Jacob was
Yeah.
saying, we have a lot of our developers and project manager have been working hard on revamping the Bitfocus. So in the next update, which should be out in next month or two, you're going to see they're giving you options to there's going to be different visuals on some of the buttons that you're going to be able to do. They've added a lot of different functionality for being able to use tabs in the spreadsheets, local CSV, XML, JSON, database files. So they've really kind of amped that whole connection.
Absolutely. All right, folks. If there's nothing that we want to answer, we're gonna wrap it up. I'll give you a final warning. Get it in now. I wouldn't say or never. I would not say now or never. You can always reach me at my email will be available. I'll throw that in the chat for you guys as well right now. Because if you want to schedule some one-on-one time to maybe learn a little bit more, feel a little bit more confident in our software, always happy to do a demo specific to you. Again, this is a general demo. We want to make sure you feel comfortable getting in, getting on, and knowing what you're doing when you get into Captivate. So you can see right here, if you are using our scoreboard tool, and if you want to clarify in the comment in the chat if you are or are not, you can see right here for home and away, there's a bonus. Whether or not it's actually mapped to this graphic, it is not. So you can see right here, right? Home bonus is not, away bonus, visitor bonus is not, and double bonus are not. So the functionality is there, meaning I could go into this graphic and add where I want bonus to be within this graphic and then tie it to this visibility variable so that it knows that we're in the bonus. But great feedback, and I think that we will include that in our graphics packages moving forward.
Oh, pulling from Daktronics scoreboard.
Well, then, as long as DAC is sending it, we are receiving it. Well, let's see. Hold on. That's usually true. That's not always true. Hardware scoreboard, DAC, basketball. Yeah, you're right. We don't have anything to receive bonus. So that's a great feature request, and we will jot that down and get that in there. Typically, if you can send me an email, that would be great. We typically would like to see like an export of the data to make sure that we're getting the names right in here so that it works without you having to do anything. So I should have your email because you registered, and I can reach out to you because there's something specific our team usually likes to see to get that in there. We recently just did it with DAC baseball pitch count maybe or something along those lines. There was something in from DAC that we didn't get it, and then we got the output of the data, made it work in our system, and we'll do the same for bonus and double bonus. So thank you for letting us know that that's not there. What a great way to get that in there.
But you can also find the recordings on our webinars page and then also through on our YouTube channel, and then in our tutorials page as well. And if you ever have any issues finding anything, just let us know.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, my email's in the chat. You can always reach us. We're very open to feedback. We love hearing what our customers are up to, so please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much for joining.